people that show up. But I want to honor your time. So thanks for getting on for the final step of the Compliance in Command training process. This is how do we get paid? So up until this point, we have now created a contact. We've connected that contact to an opportunity. We've taken that opportunity with our connected DocuSign accounts and created our documents. We've sent those for signature. We've now submitted those for compliance. We're going to assume we did the same thing with the under contract portion and we are cleared to close or on our way to a cleared to close. Everything is ratified and we're ready to submit our commission request, which is replacing the green sheet. And that is where we're at in the process. We're going to assume all folders have been approved. Now I'm going to jump right into the opportunity that we were working on yesterday with Jill and Jane Baker. I'm in the under contract bubble here for listings. I moved it from active to under contract because we did all that paperwork. It's now signed. We're assuming we have a ratified contract in hand. I click the name of the Jill Baker listing opportunity. This screen should look familiar to you guys. If we go back to the document page, we can see an approved folder. And then we have our under contract folder. Again, we're going to assume that we have submitted that and approved it. And we're going to the offers tab. The offers tab, some of this will auto populate, some of it will not. It depends on the listing that is pulling, if the fields pull correctly from the MLS. Some of it is going to pull from the opportunity if you've put enough of the information in. And some of it we'll still have to manually enter for the time being, just as you've had to do on the green sheet up until now. This information is going to continue to get smarter and smarter as Kelly, as our artificial intelligence, gets smarter and smarter. More and more information is going to pull over. We're going to take what's in our documents as our offer, and we're going to add a new offer. So I'm under the offer tab in the opportunity. I'm adding a new offer. Now there is an ability to add multiple offers here. If you have a listing and you're in a multiple offer situation, you can name each one however you would like to name each individual offer. You could put all of them in here together, and there's a way to take all of those offers and submit them to your client for review so you can discuss all of them with them side by side. Now, I'm not going to go over that in today's training. Some of you aren't going to need that. Some of you might want to do that. If you do, there is an article that I'm including in tonight's email that you will get that talks about how to input all of those offers and what those steps look like. For now, because I'm only going to have one offer on this one, I've already taken the offer, it's accepted. I'm going to leave it as initial offer. Multiple offers are not required to be put in here, so don't think they have to be put in here. It's a tool that's there if you want to use it. You just have to have a minimum of one offer, and it has to be the accepted offer with that information. I don't like the name and I'm second guessing it. I can change it right here. I'm going to go ahead and put an offer date in of yesterday, because we're going to assume it was ratified last night. And my closing date, I'm going to push out to May 15th, because I'm assuming that's what's in my contract. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the parties page. I do not have to include all party information for both sides. I do have to have minimum information. I have to have the name of the buyer, the name of the seller. It's going to pre-populate whichever party we're working in. If you were working in a buyer opportunity, it's going to populate the buyer information. And it might populate the seller information if you're working on a buyer, because it's pulling certain fields from the MLS. Sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't, just so you know. It will also sometimes pull the representation down here in the associate's name. Again, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I can't give you the rhyme or reason as to why. Just know that over time that's going to get smoother and smoother, and it's going to become better and better, and more information will automate. I'm going to put myself as the buyer for ease of input here. Again, only the fields that have to be input are the ones with the red stars. Down at the bottom, I'm going to assume that is my representation as the buyer. Again, I only have to have the name. I do not have to put email or phone number in. However, the more information you have, the more that can be tracked and pulled from in the future, or if you ever need to reference back to something, it will be there. So I encourage you to put it all there if you have it. However, if you don't, you only have to enter the required fields. We're going to go to the terms page. Now, keep in mind, this is a system that is built to work globally for the command platform. We have no control over the names of these fields and how they function. They tried to build it as universal as possible so that it could work in any area. For instance, in the terms section where it says cash plus finance amount equals sales price, in our contracts in the state of South Carolina, we don't state the percentage that we're putting down. It might say it in the pre-approval letter, it might not, that could all change. In other states, contracts require that you tell what percentage you're putting down. You could leave it as 0 and put the finance amount as the total of the entire price of the property. Or what I tend to do, it's a little double entry because I put it in both, but I'm going to put $1,000 or $2,500, 1% of the finance amount or of the total purchase amount, and then put the remaining balance in finance. Because I know at minimum they're going to be paying cash as their earnest money. And then under earnest money, I go ahead and put that same dollar amount in. Now, some of this information, again, is going to pull. Some of it's not. If I'm submitting this to my client, though, and using it for their approval purposes, then you would want to enter more information. We do not have an option fee in the state of South Carolina, so you don't have to worry about that. Termination options. Again, you can put 14 days in here. Because we know it's 10 business days, which typically is going to be 14 calendar days. Seller cost that they will contribute. So residential service contract, we're going to go for the $495 210 warranty, and the seller is going to contribute $3,000 in closing costs. Again, the more information you put there, the more there is for your client to review. It's not all required. It's totally optional on this page. But it's also going to save you from putting more information in later. We're going to click agent analysis. This, I never fill this out unless I'm submitting it to my client, because this is where I would name the pros and cons of the offer, particularly if I have multiple offer situation, and then all this can be presented to them side by side. I'm going to go ahead and save this offer, and it's now here. Before I accept this offer, are there any questions up to this point? No? All right, good. At this point, if I had multiple offers, I could pick which one I want to accept and which ones I want to reject. Because I only have one, I'm going to go ahead and accept the offer. If I needed to make any edits, I could click the 3 dots. I could add negotiations in here. I can edit the offer. I can add analysis. I could send this offer. I can remove the offer. I am going to go ahead and accept it. And you'll notice my commission tab is now live. Prior to this, it was not selectable. I'm going to click on my commissions tab. And this is where I'm going to input the information for this specific transaction and how it would be split. Now, if I'm an individual agent and I have no unique things about this transaction, so no referral fees being paid, no coaching fees being paid, no transaction coordination, anything like that that's being taken out of your commission check, then it's pretty straightforward. It's going to pull over our sales price that we already put in the offer. It's going to put in the commission percentage that we already put in when we created the opportunity. And it's going to go ahead and create that total amount for us. Now, if there's any changes to these first 3 things, you can change them right here. And it will update all the other fields for you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it was. However, you'll notice I have it unable to submit up here because there's an error. The contract date is required. For some reason, that is one field that does not pull right now. Again, they're working to make all of these fields pull. We're going to go ahead and add the contract date. I can change that date right now. The closed date, I cannot. So if you input the close date incorrectly in the offer, you have to go back to the offer, change your response, edit the offer, and accept it again. The only reason you would need to change the close date is if it changed prior to you submitting your commission request. Now, we know that closing dates change all the time. Once I've submitted this to Brenda as the MCA to review, then if you have a closing date change, you just need to shoot Brenda an email to let her know. That way she doesn't have to track you down looking for why didn't this close on the 15th. She can just go ahead and adjust it on her end, because once she pulls it into her Win-More system, it's going to pull all this information with it. And this is what we use as a market center to be able to project our money for the month, and for profit share and all those other pieces to make sure that we're all within our MREA guidelines and the proper business percentages for our business model. So this is important that we keep Brenda up to date on our closing dates. Again, if I'm an individual agent, it's pretty straightforward. It's me, there's one unit, the total commission is $7,500. It's going to take out my royalty, my company commission. This is where I can add any deductions for KW Cares or KW Kids Can. Keep in mind that if you donate to a BOLD scholarship, the BOLD scholarship is sorry, that field didn't take there. I was just fixing that. The BOLD scholarship is for the National BOLD Scholarship Fund. This is not for you individually. This is for the National BOLD Scholarship Fund if you want to contribute to that. It's adjusting my amount, every adjustment I make, and this cap is going to be in real time, as real as it can be. So this was a question this morning on the call. Is this show in real time? No, but it shows in more real time than it did previously. And I'll explain that. What we're looking at here is systems that don't fully communicate yet. So Brenda functions in a system called Win-More. And Win-More is a system, for those of you that care to know, that lives on her computer, and that gets updated twice a month to corporate. They're in the process of transitioning that platform to what's called CloudMore, which will be entirely web-based, and this data will be in real time all the time. So it will be as real as it can be, and at the end of every month, it will be accurate. And it also depends on how many deals you have in your pipeline and submitted and approved commission requests. So don't get too stuck on these numbers here, but do know that it's going to be pretty accurate for the most part in real time of what you've contributed. And that is pretty straightforward, right? That's how I would prepare my commission request for an individual agent. If I needed to add a note to send to Brenda, I could add a note. I could type that note in here if there's something unique about this transaction, and then I would just hit submit. Now, I'm not going to submit anything today because I don't want to mess up the Win-More system on Brenda's side. If you want to get in here and practice and play around with the commission spreadsheet, you are more than welcome to, but please do not submit any commission requests that are not true commission requests, because we don't want to mess up Brenda's side on the accounting side or have to go do all this extra work to clean those up. So just know that you can see exactly what it does. Once you hit submit, the only magic that happens is it submits it to Brenda, and up here where it says open, it changes it to submitted. That's the only thing that happens at that point. Nothing else changes on your end of the platform. So please, 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 I can't say it enough, do not submit unless it's actually a commission request, because this is live and functioning, and it is communicating with her system. Now, there are some other things to talk about. Some of you on this call are on a team and you have a team split, or you deal with a lot of referral clients and you need to know how to pay referrals. Let's talk about that. Up here underneath contract date, I want you to never, unless something changes in our policy, add a co-broker payment. A co-broker payment is in the event that our market center received the entire commission check and you needed to pay a broker outside of our market center for their portion of the commission. That is the one exception to that rule. And that would be a co-broker payment, and make sure you send Brenda a note when that happens. I don't know that would ever happen in our market center. I know it's not the way we function. Typically the co-broker is going to get paid at the closing table by the attorney, and it's going to be taken care of there. That's the only time that you would add a co-broker payment. Now, if I need to add an agent on my team, then I have to adjust these two numbers underneath me as the primary agent. I have to adjust the unit count and my total commission. I'm going to adjust this to a 50-50 split. So I'm going to take this down to 0.5. It's going to think for a second and start updating over here. And it's now going to tell me that it's unable to submit because the agent unit value must total 1. But you'll also notice the total commission amount did not change. There's a reason it's not linked is because some people, their teams in somewhere in the company as a whole, because remember, this is not unique to us, this is unique to Keller Williams as a whole. Some teams, their agent might take a larger percentage of the unit count, but take a different percentage of commission. So that's why it's not directly tied to each other. At least that's what I'm understanding with how I've been trained. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this in half though. And my mind totally just went blank because it's Friday at almost 5 o'clock, but I can't even do 50% of that. Sorry about that, guys. 3750. There we go. So everything is now updated. All of my numbers are accurate. And now I have to account for the remainder of the commission as well. So once I adjusted the unit count and the total commission amount, down at the bottom of the page, this add agent button has now gone live. So I click add an agent, and this is where I would add the other agent that is in our office for the other 50% of the commission. So I'm gonna go ahead and add Matt as the other 50 on this. You just search for him. Anybody in our office is searchable in that field. I'm gonna add him to the other 50. So 0.5 of the unit and 3750 in total commission. And my errors have gone away. I'm now eligible to submit again. So that is how I would deal with a team split. Now, in order to add a couple other things, let's say I'm paying a referral fee on this inside the office. Then I would go to add item, and it depends on who's paying it, right? Am I paying it as the lead agent? Is Matt paying it as the other agent on the transaction? If we were both paying it, then you add it appropriately. So we both have add item options. Underneath the payment breakdown, he has the same add item option. If I add item, I have different choices here. I have a bonus, a concession, a deduction, an inside and outside referral. Inside referral is inside our office. So if Matt gave me a lead, I still wanted the full unit count, and I just needed to give him his percentage. I could give him, I'm just going to call it $750 to Matt Carroll, and I can add that as a deduction off of my side of the commission. That's an inside referral. If I have an outside referral, so this is where I have received a referral from another agent outside of our market center. I'm representing the client and I owe them a percentage of the transaction. I can put in a 25% referral fee. It comes up with the amount. And this is where we know that whenever we have a referral, we have to have the W-9 and an executed referral agreement on hand so that that payment can go out. The W-9 information is what's going to give you the rest of this information to fill in. The tax ID type, so that's going to be a social security number or an EIN. The majority of the time, if it's a brokerage that's getting paid, because we pay the brokerage for a referral, that then they distribute that to their agent, they would have an EIN number the majority of the time. Then you would enter that number here, the broker company name, the agent name, and add the address, phone number, and email. This, guys, is helping the MCA do their job because it's going to help auto-populate some of those fields in the Winmore system. Brenda's still going to need your W-9 because she's going to need to reference that to make sure that the information matches, and she has to keep that document on file, but you're going to do the entering of that information here, and then you would add it. Now, I don't have another brokerage information, and I don't want to add something that might then dump into her Winmore system. So I'm not going to enter that right now. Just know that this is how you do an outside referral and add the percentage. The other things we can add, bonuses. A bonus is going to be typically found on a new construction project. If the bonus is being paid at the closing table, then this is where that would go. Let's say I'm getting a $2,000 bonus on this one, and it's going to get split with the market center, and I'm going to add that to the transaction. Now, a question was asked this morning on the call. If I have that $2,000 bonus and it needs to be split between two people, then I have to manually split that. I add a bonus to myself. I can edit this. I'm going to make it $1,000 and update it. And then I'm going to come down to Matt, and I'm going to add a bonus down here of another $1,000. All right, so that's how we update those. I know typically bonuses are not paid at the closing table, but sometimes they are. That's how you account for it. If you add an item, and then we go to a concession, concessions are going to be pretty rare for us, but this is going to be where maybe out of the commission, we're paying for the home warranty. Something like that that needs to be accounted for coming out of the commission check, and where's it coming from? The market center paying it off the top, concession on a closing statement. Again, rare that we would ever use a concession, but it's there in the event that you ever need it. And then the other thing is a deduction. The deduction, this form looks very similar to an outside referral form. And this is anytime you're paying for a service. For instance, maybe you're paying your transaction coordinator off of the DA, then this is how that would happen. You would pay the transaction coordinator right here. Again, you would put in all the information, and you would add a description, who it's getting paid to, their address, phone number, and email. Again, Brenda's still going to need a W-9 as the MCA on file, because that has to stay on file with the office, but you're helping her get that person or that provider set up in her system to make it easier on her end to make sure people can get paid quickly. And that's how you would add a deduction for anything that would need to be paid out of the commission check at the DA point in the process. And then at that point, once everything is good, we have no red errors at the top, I could hit submit this to Brenda for payment. I still need to make sure that my settlement statement is put into my document tab under the closed folder. And as long as this is here, once you add that, you would submit it to the market center. And that's going to be Brenda's final notification that she's looking for a check. But you submit your commission request, you submit your settlement statement, and then you just wait on your DA and money to go in your bank account. That is the process of submitting a commission request in Command. What questions do you have for me in regards to commissions or any other thing that we've covered this week that you have questions about that you might want me to go back and go over? Nothing? Is this just because it's Friday, or did I just do that great of a job?
I assume the gym is closed.
Matt would need to answer that question. The gym at the office closed? I'm assuming yes, but I don't know that answer.
I actually don't know that answer either. I mean, I guess you can go at your own risk.
What's the code? What's the number?
I'll text it to you. I don't think we have any gas. Well, obviously we don't have any gas in here. It's 1245. 1245. Same thing that gets you into the parking garage.
I'll bring my Lysol wipes and my Lysol can. I just got to get a workout in sometime.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it, Andrew.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Is you able to change the commission request? Like, what if you end up paying for repairs or something like that?
Well, in the event you paid for the repairs, you would probably be writing the check for those repairs, right?
Well, usually it just comes out of the commission. Like if they're like, I'm not buying this house unless there's this, insulation, and you and the other agent split it.
Yeah. So that would happen at the closing table. The attorney's probably going to take that money out. And then let's say you already submitted this commission request and that's been submitted to Brenda. You just need to send Brenda an email letting her know, like, or write it on your envelope when you submit the check. If you turn in a check and just say, hey, Brenda, just want to let you know there was repairs paid for out of the closing funds. The commission is now X dollars. And she'll have to make that adjustment once it's been submitted. We can't go back and edit it once we've submitted it to her.
And for our team, like, I mean, it's probably an Amy question, but they always did this side of, she always says this side of it. Do you do this, or do we do this as individual agents?
This is actually on your team is done for you.
Okay.
So just good to be familiar with the process, but you really don't have to worry about it. All right, guys. Well, seems like you don't have anything else for me today. So I just want to say thank you again so much for taking time out of your week to be here with me most every day, if not every day of this training. It is greatly appreciated. We had every day, almost, if not more than 50% of the office show up to the trainings. So that is amazing. Thank you for committing to that and helping with this process and making it happen. You don't know how much that makes us happy as a Market Center leadership to have people show up and take advantage of and dive into this with us. We know it's going to be a challenge and it's going to be a transition. Know that we're here for you through this. If you have any questions along the way or bumps in the road, please reach out. That's what we're here for, to help you through this transition as smoothly as possible. I will be sending out an email tonight with some articles and a copy of the video as well. And the other things coming next week will be a full curated page on our internal website of different links to documents and videos for different sections of this if you need to reference those. I will also be creating a detailed video of importing things from dotloop in the event that you have loops in dotloop that you want to pull in. As of now, this system is ready to go for you. If you're ready to make that jump, make that jump. Any transactions that are currently in dotloop that will close prior to May 15th can stay in dotloop, and you can finish them out in dotloop. You do not have to transition them to command. Any transactions that are going to close after May 15th, or let's say it's a listing that's not yet under contract, needs to be transitioned into command. And any new pieces of business, we would highly recommend you go ahead and start creating them in command so that you don't have to adjust them later in the event they don't close before May 15th, because we're only 5 days from, we're only 35 days away from that date of May 15th, to where your dotloop compliance abilities and dotloop e-signature abilities go away. So if you need to download documents or you want to import documents, whatever you need to do, if you need help with that, let me know, and we'll get those transitioned for you. But all documents or any new transactions should be started in command after May 1st. By all means, they absolutely should be started in command, because May 15th dotloop will not function for you any longer unless you continue to pay individually for your dotloop account. And even then, it will not work for compliance after May 15th. Also, just know that Lori is going to start monitoring both, but have some patience, because she's got a learning curve ahead of her as well as she dives into 2 different platforms. She's going to be checking both. The notification piece on command is not the same as it is for dotloop. So if you're not getting as quick of response times, please be patient with her. If it's been a reasonable amount of time and you've not heard from her on a transaction, please just send her a nice email asking her to review that transaction for her in command, so that she can jump in there and look at that for you. So please have grace with her in this interim transition period as we make this transition. Any questions over that? All right. Well, guys, I think I'm going to zoom out with a margarita or something to drink after having zoomed all week long. So,
Sounds good.
yeah. So thank you again. Again, reach out to me, whatever you need. That's what we're here for. Let us help you make this transition as smooth as we can.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
A wonderful Easter weekend, everybody.
Bye, you guys too.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.